The United States will always stand with our friend and ally Israel, and the Trump administration will not keep the office open when the Palestinians refuse to take steps to start direct and meaningful negotiations with Israel.
I'm joined now by Nile Gardiner. He's director of the Margaret Thatcher Center for Freedom at the Heritage Foundation. We're glad to have you here. If I could have you listen to just one more soundbite from that John Bolton speech that I thought was really important. This here about the ICC and why he's saying that the Trump administration refuses to join.
The United States will use any means necessary to protect our citizens and those of our allies from unjust prosecution by this illegitimate court. We will not cooperate with the ICC. We will provide no assistance to the ICC, and we certainly will not join the ICC. We will let the ICC die on its own. After all, for all intents and purposes, the ICC is already dead to us.
And now let me read to you a quote from Hussam Zomlot. He's the Palestinian representative to Washington on the International Criminal Court. He says, "We don't think this is just about bullying. We believe this is about the implementing of Israel's grocery list. They are implementing it rather than pressuring us. All of this is making sure the U.S. will never, ever play the role of the peacemaker." Can you help us make sense of all of this and how these two things fit together?
Well, firstly, thanks very much for having me on the show, Dana. And I have to say that John Bolton's speech was a terrific speech. It was a very robust defense of the U.S. national interest and U.S. national sovereignty. And I think that John Bolton made some tremendous points in this speech, pointing out that the International Criminal Court is not America's friend, but the court seeks to, in some cases, try and prosecute U.S. citizens. It is also seeking to potentially prosecute Israelis at the behest of the Palestinians. And so John Bolton made it absolutely clear that the United States is not going to give any cooperation whatsoever to the International Criminal Court. And if indeed it seeks to prosecute Americans, there will be a very furious backlash from the Trump administration against the ICC, including potential sanctions against the International Criminal Court. And he also announced, and I think this is absolutely the right policy, that the United States is closing down the office of the Palestinian Liberation Organization, the PLO, which has a very, very shady and checkered past. I mean, this is an organization that has a long history of terrorist activity, and it has more recently been calling for the prosecution by the International Criminal Court of Israeli citizens for so-called war crimes. And so I think that, John Bolton sent a very, very clear message today that the United States will defend its sovereignty, that the United States will also stand with its allies, in this case with Israel, America's closest friend and partner in the Middle East.
What do you see as possibly anything that could get the Palestinians back to the table, willing to talk about a possible